For now.
Go ahead.
Slide 6, please. What you see on your screen is an informed and yet counterfactual opinion about the January 25th meeting, rendered by the Vice Chair of the Advisory Committee in his effort to persuade the Standing Committee to amend the terms of reference. 18 citizens denied participation in democratic process. Informing the Advisory Committee, Niagara Region probably received 100 applications, vetted and selected 10 committee members, and of them a vice chair was selected, and that individual, eminently qualified to render such views, eminently qualified to look through the DEI lens, and none of us qualified to say otherwise. He describes the January 25th meeting as 18 citizens denied participation in the democratic process, which naturally compels us to review the policies and procedures through a DEI lens. I want you to understand what I'm showing you. I believe this is an example of a pattern that is repeating. An inversion of the truth, reversing who has accountability, and an insertion into policy, reversing who has authority. This mechanism is used all over the place, so I'm not singling out the vice chair, and I'm grateful that he's speaking next. The point is, this is the view that the terms of reference ask for, the view that staff vetted the advisory committee to acquire. This is a carefully selected community member holding the DEI lens and telling us what he sees and telling us what he wants. And I believe this is illustrative because you were there and you know better. You know that something deeply unfair did happen on January 25th, but can the DEI lens see it? The DEI lens sees the intersections of historical discrimination bearing in on the chambers to offer justification to the interruptions. You deserved it, after all. 18 citizens were denied participation in the democratic process. Conversely, 30 councillors and all of staff in the room were denied a safe work environment free of harassment. 30 councillors were denied their ability to exercise their duties as elected members of our elected government. Democracy was ground to a halt by people who, at best, couldn't control their feelings, or at worst, utilized disruption as a tactic. All of it, by the way, for an issue of pure optics, lights on a sign, words on a screen, not for some substantive policy, nothing hanging in the balance that these chambers must decide. It's radical entryism, political opportunism, bolstered by a group of activists who bullied council to your face. Then, special interests with close ties to the councillor who unilaterally made the motion, and those in your own advisory committee, float a narrative that delegitimizes your authority, implies you're motivated by bigotry and class-based self-interests, and seeks to use this to galvanize others into radical opposition while manipulating you into capitulation or positioning you as the oppressor. This is counterhegemony, delegitimization, demoralization, and derailment. Niagara Region is harboring an organized, ideologically motivated, counter-hegemonic force which, by the nature of its philosophy, will engage in struggle after struggle and offer you risk after risk, both internal and external, until finally the region is totally subsumed, or by some miracle we can be rid of it altogether. I'm not doubting anyone's good intentions, but we know where the road paved with good intentions goes. Unlike other talented individuals here, I cannot read minds. However, I can read the terms of reference, and the terms that they reference, and the term to reference is intersectionality. Google intersectionality, and you will quickly be tumbling far leftward down a rabbit hole that relies on an ahistorical racist conspiracy theory. Seek a definition for the action plan from the action plan, and you'll find the sanitized definition suitable for corporate governance, but we can see that power dynamics are at the core of the idea. But this only scratches the surface. It's about power struggle within struggle. To drive any insight out of the DEI lens, we must turn to the community, which is not a town or a place. It's an identity group, only those who know the struggle, such as those listed in the terms of reference. And unfortunately, staff, or even the DEI chair, cannot offer clarity on what the DEI lens really sees. The DEI lens sees that the DEI chair is complicit in the same system of oppression by virtue of being a white woman, operating within the hegemonic structures of our democratic system. The revolution will not spare you, even if you helped get it going. Even those who have earned their place in the vanguard will find themselves forsaken if and when the counter-hegemonic pressures push beyond your ability to collaborate. And I think we might almost be there. Intersectionality is not a term of reference which you have the power to define. It is a power of its own that is used to define you.
I'll ask you one sentence to wrap up, please. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Appreciate the opportunity for an additional comment to close my remarks. Although the region acknowledges that its advisory committee is not an activist group, the terms of reference really say otherwise and always have. Niagara Region is becoming an activist group. Intersectionality is a practice. It was born in activism. It was raised radical, and it is practiced through cultural revolution. And you think you can keep it as a pet.
Time's up.
On the current terms of reference and the DEI advisory committee doing the work that they currently do.
My view is that the standing committee's decision should be upheld, absolutely. That there's no question about whether or not the standing committee's decision should be overturned. And I feel that a lot of the information I brought forward and claims that I brought forward pertain to the political dynamics that are at play in our current moment, which I regard as counter-hegemony, which I regard as motivated and informed not by your authority, but by the authority of an ideology, which the smartest person in the room does what the ideology says. So the ideology is most important, in my view, which has been informative of why I've opposed this project from the beginning, not because of the people, but because of the ideas that were being put forward. I don't know if that answered your question, but it...
No, I think it did. I think it's, and the reason I asked is, again, because you have been outspoken in your opposition to the DEI work at all. But that's not what I took from your delegation this evening, so I sort of wanted to... If
I may clarify one more point, and thank you. I think that Niagara Region has a responsibility and prerogative and purview to ensuring that its internal policies are inclusive and diverse. That communications should be inclusive and diverse, hiring policies should be inclusive and diverse. There's nothing wrong with that. And if that was the scope of the project, you may never have heard from me about it. But the scope of the project, as revealed by the staff report this month, was that the external items are outside of the mandate of the region, which for someone who's skeptical of the project in the first place suggests maybe don't do it in the first place. So there's always good that can be done through DEI internally. Let's hire people, let's be considerate, let's understand cultural differences, let's understand what's on the calendar for different religions, let's understand that's all great. I'm not against any of that. I'm against opening the door to a non-limited principle. I believe that there's no limiting principle to intersectionality, that your fiduciary duty is to be in control of your terms of reference. And you have a term of reference which is a blank slate. And your committee is doing the best it can. You're doing the best you can. And yet, nevertheless, you are always daunted by the counter-hegemonic force. Always. They will always be coming for you. So the more you open the door to them, you're offering them a promise, as I said last year, writing a check you can't cash by promising action to activists. I believe we just heard 4 or 5 different delegates tell you that they think you promised them something. They think you promised them something. My purpose last year was to warn you, don't write that check. They're saying here, cash that check. Either way, the check is bouncing, is it not? Did you not just hear Mr. Kaywall say? This is the last time he's going to come forward with these kind of requests. The whole community, as represented through these various special interests, by the way, these are special interests, these aren't just people who just happen to just be diverse. They are people who are ideologically motivated, which I've made great pains to identify.
Chair, can we put an end to this, please?
Yes.
He's referring to the delegates, he's calling people by name, and no one has a problem with that.
On the others, please.
I do not believe I did. What did I say that was an aspersion? What did I say? I'm sorry. Chair, may I please?
Accusations against the others, and please do not engage in that.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? The delegate, or any further questions of any of the delegates who are presented tonight?
Thank you, Chair. I still have
Councillor,
So Thank you. I won't ask you to continue. I will say, though, that I didn't hear the delegate casting any aspersions. He was talking about what had been said.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for